What do you do when the power needs to be in the middle of the room? Because wall sockets are brilliant, provided the desks, benches or workstations are next to the wall. But move those workstations into the centre of the room and suddenly the electrical installation has a problem. You need power. You might need data. You may need communication services as well. And now the question is, how do you get all of that to the workstation without covering the floor in trailing cables or forcing the entire room layout to revolve around the perimeter? Perhaps you need a power pole. So what problem does the power pole actually fix? Well, it fixes the last part of the service distribution problem. You may already have the electrical supply in the building. You may already have data and communication cabling available above the ceiling or below the floor. The problem is getting those services from the building structure to the place where the people are actually working. That could be a cluster of desks in an open plan office. It could be a classroom arranged around shared tables, or it could be a central bench in a training workshop. In all of those situations, the workstation is effectively an island. It is not sitting conveniently against a wall. So instead of trying to make the furniture fit the electrical installation, the power pole gives you a managed route to bring the services directly to the island workstation. But why not just use the wall sockets? Because that only works if the room layout suits them. A power pole changes the starting point. Rather than beginning at the wall and trying to reach the workstation, the service route arrives at the workstation first. And because the power pole is double-sided, one vertical distribution point can serve more than one side of an island arrangement. That is the important distinction. It is not simply about adding more sockets, it is about putting the services where the room needs them. The power pole is designed to manage three broad groups of services: power, data, and communications. That sounds obvious, but it matters because a modern workstation rarely needs electricity alone. There could be power outlets, network cabling, and other communication services all arriving at the same location. The power pole gives those services a structured route rather than leaving each one to find its own way through the room. The pole can also be subdivided internally, and it can be screened between services. So this is not just a hollow cover hiding a bundle of cables. The internal arrangement matters. Different services need to be managed properly, and the final configuration will depend on the design of the installation and the accessories being used. The key point is that the power pole is built around service management, not just cable concealment. And if you're finding this information useful and you don't want to miss out on the latest news and innovations coming from the electrical industry, we dive into topics like this every single week, so hit subscribe. Now there's another question here, because not every project needs a full height pole. The standard power pole is 3.6 meters high and includes a ceiling fixing bracket. It is suitable for suspended and solid ceiling applications, and the cabling can be fed from the ceiling, from the floor, or from both. That gives the installer a bit of flexibility depending on how the building is constructed. In a typical ceiling fed installation, the cables come through the ceiling void and enter the top of the pole. The pole then brings those services down to the level of the workstation. If the building is taller, an extension kit is available to take the overall height up to 5 meters. There is also an adjusting slide system for detailing with additional height within the ceiling void. So the important thing here is not just the length of the pole, it is how the pole connects the building services to the room layout below it. And then we have this power post. The names are similar, but the applications are different. The power pole is a full height solution. It is designed to run from the floor towards the ceiling and is normally used where services need to come down from above to a workstation island. The power post is much shorter. It is approximately 692 millimeters high and is designed to fit below standard desk height. So the question is quite simple. Do you need to bring the services down from the ceiling, or do you only need to distribute them locally at floor level? If the workstations are in the middle of a room and the services are available above, the power pole is the obvious option. If the service route is already at floor level and you only need a compact connection point below a desk, the power post may be a better fit. The other advantage is that this is intended to be a finished service installation, not a temporary looking cable route. The pole has an aluminium body for strength and rigidity. With PVCU covers, it is available with an anodized body and white fittings, or with a white body and white fittings. The standard power pole is supplied with 6 accessory plates and a ceiling fixing bracket. Those plates provide the location for the relevant power, data, and communication accessories, and because it is double-sided, the installation can be configured to serve workstations on both sides of the pole. That makes the product particularly useful in offices, teaching spaces, and workshops where a central point needs to serve a shared island rather than a single desk. There are a few things that the power pole does not decide for for you. You still need to confirm the cable capacity, the accessory arrangement, the internal segregation, and the requirements of the specific installation. The catalogue information does not give a universal cable capacity, so the PowerPole may save the problem of getting services to the workstation, but it does not replace the proper design. You still need to understand the environment, the building, the construction, the service routes, and the equipment being connected. That is true of any cable management system. The product gives you the route, installation design still determines whether that route is suitable. Okay, so what problem does the PowerPole fix? It does not create more electrical power. It solves the problem of getting existing power, data, and communication services to the place where the work is actually happening. And when that place is in the middle of a room rather than against a wall, that can make a very big difference. If you want to find out more about the PowerPole from Marshall Tufflex, I've left links in the description. And be sure to check out the video I did on the difference between tray, ladder, and basket, which is on screen right now.